In Brazil, the Senate plenary approved the bill that sets the temporary framework for indigenous lands. In Argentina, Women's and Diversity Collective marched to commemorate a global day of actions for the access to legal, safe, and free abortion. In the United States, Republicans in the House of Representatives are moving forward with an impeachment proposal against President Joe Biden. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll be with the news. Stay with us. In Brazil, the Senate plenary approved the bill that sets the temporary framework for indigenous lands. The bill was approved on Wednesday during a plenary session with 43 votes in favor and 21 against. This initiative states that the indigenous peoples will only be able to claim ownership of the areas that they occupied temporarily before October the 5th, 1988, the date of the promulgation of the Constitution. The bill is a response to the decision of the Federal Supreme Court, which last Thursday ruled that temporary frameworks invoke to stop the demarcation of indigenous territories is contrary to the constitutional framework. Likewise, on Wednesday, the Supreme Court of Brazil decided that the owners of the territories overlain on indigenous lands will receive compensations if the areas are expropriated in favor of the native people. Indigenous organizations point out that the proposal is a reward for illegal land invaders. In Brazil, one of Jair Bolsonaro's most trusted aides has started a play at bringing a deal with the federal police and is accusing the former president and other top-level officials of polluting a military coup. In Recife, our correspondent Brian Mir has more.
Lieutenant Colonel Mauro Cid, ex-President Bolsonaro's former personal assistant, has struck a plea bargain deal with the federal police, who have revealed that he is accusing a group of top officials of trying to overturn last year's presidential election results.
What we have heard from Mauro Cid's plea bargain testimony is that a criminal organization was created to orchestrate a coup d'etat, a violent abolition of the rule of law, which didn't just involve Bolsonaro. It also involved former Justice Minister Anderson Torres and General Heleno.
After Cid's allegations went public, President Bolsonaro's former institutional security chief, General Augusto Heleno, was called to Congress to testify. Heleno has a long history of anti-democratic activities dating from the days of the dictatorship, when he worked with General Silvio Frota, leader of a fascist internal faction of the army that disobeyed orders to stop executing political prisoners. Heleno began by claiming Cid had never sat in on meetings between Bolsonaro and military leaders.
Look who's there, in the presidential palace, in a meeting with the defense minister and the commander of the armed forces. There's Mauro Cid right there. And General Heleno said he didn't go to meetings with the commanders of the armed forces. If you'd like, I can pull up the video, you just say this.
As the investigation continues, a lot of powerful people in Brasilia are getting nervous over Mauro Cid's deal with the federal police. Brian Mir, teleSUR, Recife.
In Argentina, Women's and Diversity Collective marched to commemorate a global day of action for access to legal, safe, and free abortion. The mobilization is called for 4 p.m. local time from the Plaza de Mayo to the Congress under the slogan "Freedom is ours," and will be repeated in various provinces. The march will also be against the right-wing or ultra-right parties, pointing out that if they win the presidency, it will mean the loss of several rights for the community. In Mexico, on Wednesday, the government informed that human remains that could belong to some of the Ayotzinapa students who disappeared in 2014 will be analyzed in the laboratory of the University of Innsbruck in Austria. The statement added that the Mexican prosecutor's office will send human remains that will belong to some of the 43 missing students from Ayotzinapa to the laboratory at the University in Innsbruck, Austria, and also state that the additional remains will be analyzed by experts from the Mexican Attorney General's office.
We have other remains pending identification. It is the first time that we are going to make them known. There are 2 remains of more than 120 that we found in the place of Las Huevillas, Apetlanca, in the municipality of Cuexalán del Progreso. We are waiting for the day that the laboratory of Innsbruck sets.
Greece Fire Department reported on Thursday that hundreds of people were rescued from floods due to a new storm that hit the country just weeks after floods left 17 people dead. According to authorities, emergency services assisted more than 250 people in the region surrounding the central city of Volos, where a curfew was declared on Wednesday as Storm Elias made landfall. The atmospheric event also hit the island of Eubeo, causing emergency traffic restrictions in the north of the island.
Only this week, they finished cleaning from Storm Daniel. Yesterday, it started raining from noon, but we thought it was a small shower. We didn't expect the embankment to break again and to flood the area. This is what happened. We are back to square one.
Let's take a very short break, but remember you can now join us on our TikTok account at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. In the United States, Republicans in the House of Representatives are moving forward with an impeachment proposal against President Joe Biden. The Oversight Committee of the House of Representatives convened the first hearing to start an impeachment trial against the current U.S. president. Also, experts assured that it will have no chance of succeeding given that they do not have the majority in the Senate. The impeachment will have its central process in the investigation of an alleged corruption network of the Biden family to determine if there are any crimes that can be attributed to him.
Since assuming our Republican majority in January, the House Oversight and Accountability Committee has uncovered a mountain of evidence revealing how Joe Biden abused his public office for his family's financial gain. For years, President Biden has lied to the American people about his knowledge of and participation in his family's corrupt business schemes.
James Comer stated that with the impeachment initiative against President Joe Biden, the investigation will focus on impeachable offenses.
Under the leadership of Speaker Kevin McCarthy, House Republicans have now opened an impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. By opening an impeachment inquiry, our investigation is now focused on whether President Biden engaged in impeachable offenses under the U.S. Constitution. It empowers Congress, elected by the people, to continue providing the answers, transparency, and accountability that the American people demand and deserve.
The Spanish people united in consideration, support, and solidarity with the territory of Western Sahara to evaluate the current situation so that the land still is disputed in respect. The Spanish population has asked the European Union that the next fishing agreements with the government of Morocco not include the waters of Western Sahara. The United Nations has qualified these lands as a non-self-governing following the decolonization process that have taken place since the 70s when the country was invaded by Moroccans.
What we want is that the European Union respects us, that its delegates leave our fishing until we get our independence. and we will do with it what we want because it is unjust what they are doing to us. They are stealing our wealth and they are in agreement with the government of Morocco about our country.
In the next agreement that the European Union makes with Morocco, leave out the Western Sahara. The Western Sahara is not Morocco. It is an independent state that still remains to be decolonized, and it is Spain's responsibility to make that decolonization happen.
In the Netherlands, several people were killed and many injured in two gun attacks in the city of Rotterdam. A man shot at a house where a woman and her children were staying. Another similar incident occurred at the Erasmus University Medical Center. The shooter also shot at a group of people in a sick room. The assailants set fire to the floor of the hospital before being arrested by the authorities on Dublin's helipad. On Thursday, the Italian Council of Ministers approved new measures to face the current migration crisis in the region. According to a communique, the agency informed that within the norms of the initiative, the norms related to the special procedures for the proceedings of the request for the international protection were modified. The measure establishes that if the request for the asylum is repetitive, the police commissioner may proceed with the deportation of a migrant from the national territory. And we go now to Moscow, where the Rosa Biotech International Forum was held at the Russian Academy of Sciences. At this event, environmental protection from harmful emission was one of the main topics addressed by the participants. What other topics were discussed? TV Bricks reporter Vasilin Kushinshev brings us all the details.
Topics of the Rosbiotech International Forum held in Moscow at the Russian Academy of Sciences was environmental protection from harmful emissions. According to the participants of the meeting, environmental safety issues are becoming more and more important in the context of global growth of industrial production.
Production of pharmaceutical substances is one of the most harmful industries. A lot is being done in this direction, as if we need medicines, but we should not, as doctors say, cure one thing and cripple another. Here, pharma manufacturers must be responsible.
Farooq Mir is a representative of one of several tens of thousands of large Indian pharmaceutical companies. Almost every one of them, Farooq says, has its own factories, which have been under close government control for many years. The responsibility of the business owners themselves plays an important role in reducing emissions.
We have treatment units at all of our plants for every emission. As I said, this process is mandatory now so that these industries do not cause global pollution and global disasters.
In Africa, as Seneve Kinfu, president of the Union of African Diasporas in Russia, says, drought remains one of the main environmental problems. Here, according to a forum participant, the technology used in Russia during public holidays could be useful.
We need to attract technologies that allow us to disperse rain, to attract clouds. We remember how they dispersed the cloud before May 9 in Moscow. You can call there is such technology. Many countries have such technology, but Africans are not using it much yet.
Another important topic discussed by Rosbiotech participants was modern methods of analyzing air and water conditions.
At the Faculty of Physics, we are developing a device for early diagnosis and monitoring of pollution. This is based on scanning probe microscopy. The probe microscope can detect tiny impurities in pure water.
The experience of cooperation between Bryan State University and the government of Vietnam can be considered interesting and productive, meeting participants say. According to Vu Cach Nguyen, advisor to the President of the Republic, several years ago, Russian scientists helped launch a project in Vietnam to grow fruits, vegetables, and other crops without soil. Today, according to Nguyen, the farmers involved in the experiment can already boast a good harvest.
Thanks to technology from our friends in Russia, we are growing not only potatoes, orange and pomelos, but also rice and coffee. We can use agricultural land more efficiently and save water.
Rosbiotech has become a platform for business negotiations. On the margins of the forum, developers of innovative products in the field of environmental protection were able to meet directly with industrialists and investors.
Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to rewatch interviews, top stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit the subscribe button and active the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. One financial break, don't go away. Welcome back. Thailand police seized over $8 million worth of narcotics in one of the largest single haul in the kingdom's history. Officers arrived at a building in the center of the Nakapanthan city late on Wednesday night, arrested 4 men, and uncovered a huge stash. The national police chief said it is one of the largest quantities of drugs ever seized, valued at about 300 million, $8 million US.
This is one of the largest amount of drugs ever confiscated. There's about 15 million Java pills. There's Happy Word, Fight, and about 443 bars of heroin, which is considered a lot since we don't really see heroin in our country, and about 400 kilograms of crystal meth.
In China, President Xi Jinping reiterated his call for the reunification with Taiwan during a reception dinner at the Great Hall of the People's Head of China's National Day. The Shanghaian is set to mark the 74th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China.
We must adhere to the One China principle and the 1992 consensus, promote the peaceful development of cross-strait relations, deepen cross-strait integration and development, safeguard the fundamental interests of the Chinese nation, and enhance the well-being of compatriots on both sides of the Taiwan Strait. Releasing complete reunification of the country is the common aspiration of the people, the trend of the times, and the inevitability of history, which cannot be stopped by any force.
In China, an American-Brazilian startup producing assistive multifunctional tools for the people with disabilities has been seeking out new opportunities in the country. Establishing in 2015, tech firms key to enable workers to provide sustainable solutions for people with motor, intellectual, and physical disabilities, and has been developing innovative educational and assistive technology to help with everyday tasks. The company took part in an entrepreneurship competition held in Beijing 2 years ago, which was organized by the HACOL, a global entrepreneurial brand based in the Chinese capital, after winning acclaim at the event. Catered to enable earn the opportunity to register their businesses in China and tap into the country's lower production costs, improve efficiency, and broader market scale.
I went to Shenzhen and also Hangzhou for some manufacturers, and I realized that I need to start doing this made in China. It will be most efficient and low cost. So we can produce more, we can do all of our solution here in China, and we can spread this to the world with a low cost. So we want to make it lighter and rubberize it.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English, I'm from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.